Uh, what's up? So I'm going to talk about this is like uncharted territory for what I usually do, but I'm going to try to take a stab at, well, not take a stab at, because I've spent some time on this, just the thought process, but understanding the relationship between black men and black women. But first and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody. Um, I would love to thank every person that has showed support for some of the things that I've done. Like I told people early May, late April, I quit my job, and for like the last 7 months, I've dedicated 100% of my time to Black progressive issues and coming up with programs that I think will have major impacts on improving the quality of life for Black folks. So I just want to thank each and every person who has liked any of my videos, who has shared any of my videos. There are people who text me, who private message me, who call me, who see me in the streets, and just tell me how much they support what I'm doing. And you all don't have a clue how much of an impact that has on my energy, how much of an impact that has on someone's confidence when they take the type of risk that I'm taking, leaving a figure job, leaving security for something that nobody really has been successful in doing in terms of figuring out real ways to improve the quality of life for Black people. So, keep liking my stuff if you can, keep sharing my stuff if you can, keep, supporting me and telling me, you like what I'm doing, because I'm telling you, like, anytime that I get discouraged, that's like an energy, recharge, instant energy recharge. So thank everyone. And for those who don't like my videos and don't share it, but I know you're watching, I understand some of the stuff I say is controversial. I curse, I say white people and Black people. So I understand, given the structure of society, there are certain things that you're scared to associate yourself with. But I do know, given the feedback that I've gotten, I do know you're watching and paying attention. So thank you. So I want to attack this thing. I broke this dynamic between Black women and Black men into 4 points. What's the definition of a queen and king? Are Black women hard to deal with? Low marriage rates, and what are some of the natural responsibilities of men? So first, one of the problems that Black women have is our women do not understand the definition of a queen. So originally, a queen, the definition of queen has originally been the wife of a king. Okay? So the queen, her job, her responsibility is to be the wife of the king and to help a king build a kingdom. That is the definition of a queen. The problem is, given European influence, Europeans made this distinction between king and queen. The original title of a ruler had no distinction between a man and a woman. That was introduced by Europeans. Originally, if you look at ancient Egypt, which are the earliest accounts of women leaders, we can look at Hatshepsut, which is one of the second women rulers of Egypt. Her father was King Tutmos. He was a pharaoh. What do you think they called her when she came into power? Did they call her Lady Pharaoh? They called her Pharaoh. They gave her the title that she deserved, Pharaoh. So when you translate the Egyptian or African king, which was Pharaoh, if you translate that into English language, it should be king. So Hatshepsut wasn't a queen. She was a king. The Queen of Sheba was not a queen. She was a king. She was a ruler. In Ethiopia, the kings are called negus, Negus. If it's a woman or a man, they give them the same title. In Europe, think about the concept of words and words having power. There's power behind the word king. I mean, it's undeniable. We can argue about, the equality of queens and all this other stuff. There is power behind the word king. Think about how sexist it is in a society where no woman could ever be given a title of king. She'll never have a title as powerful as king. So women have over time fought really, really hard to elevate, king is here. The power of a king is here. Women have fought to elevate, the status of queen, when a woman should have been fighting for that title. If you're trying to be king, take that title. You're a king. You're not a queen. A queen is a king's wife. So the trouble comes when in society we are grooming all of these young black women to be queens, not understanding our definition of a queen is flawed. Some women should be kings. Some men should be kings. Every woman cannot be a king. Every man cannot be a king. Women need to understand who you are and who you're trying to be in the world, who you're trying to be in a relationship. If you're trying to be a queen, you're trying to be a king's wife. And who you date, who you choose to marry, you need to be searching for a king if you're trying to be a queen. If you're trying to rule, you're trying to be a king, which is okay. You have every right to be king, but understand the type of husband you should be looking for. If you're trying to be king, you can't be looking for a king. No two kings can rule. That's a recipe for destruction. Anytime that there have been any kingdom ran by two kings, that is the end of that dynasty, because those two kings tear the kingdom apart. And two kings in a household are going to tear that household apart. So the first point is there are a lot of scenarios where every black woman is looking for a king. But there is a large percentage of black women also trying to be kings, not understanding the definition of a queen. If you want to be a king, but you cannot marry a king. If any woman trying to be a king, you're going to have to find the king's husband, okay? Any queen, understand you are going to look for a king, and you are going to find someone who you are ready and willing to build a kingdom with. You're helping him build his kingdom. And like it's not synonymous with gender, because like there are men who are ready and willing to sacrifice their ambition to be kings because they found a woman who, she got a lot going on. It's like, yo, I will suppress my ambition because I want this woman and I will help her build her kingdom. So every man ain't a king, and every man, it doesn't make you less of a man because you ain't trying to rule. Certain women are built to rule. Certain men are built to rule. But just understand the type of a spouse you should be looking for. Are black women hard to deal with? Yes, black women are hard to deal with, and there's a reason. It's clear when black women, and I think it's universally known, black women have it the hardest of all type of people on this earth. They are the most, Malcolm X said it in one of his speeches, they are the most unprotected, the most undefended, the most unavenged, the most disrespected woman on earth. So how can you be all of these things, which women, express a lot of the time? How can you be all of these things and not be hard to deal with? So this responsibilities of man, there are certain responsibilities that black men are not taking responsibility of that are resulting in this hardened black woman. So if you do yard work and you don't have protection over your hands and you're using your raw hands in the yard, what happens to your hands? They naturally become hard. You get calluses on your hands harden. So if you have this unprotected, undefended black woman who still has to survive in society, what's going to naturally happen to her? She doesn't have a protector, so she has to protect herself. This hardening, this attitude that you talk about black women having, this combativeness that we talk about black women having, that is a natural response to the lack of defense and protection. So black women, you can't say you're not combative. You can't say that you're not hard to deal with, and at the same time say you are the most, under attack human being on earth. If you're that under attack, then you would naturally have to harden yourself in order to survive. So the important thing to know is know that yes, you are naturally harder to deal with because you have to be. Without this hardening, you don't survive. My mother, raised me and my four sisters by herself in Detroit. my mother was a very hardened woman, at least from my perspective growing up. She was hard, and she had to be. And she made me the man that I am. I get my strength from my mother. And I had to, because I didn't have, my father was in prison from the age of 6 until I was 18. So in order for me to be the man I am today, I had to have a hard mother. But understand, black women, y'all are hard. You're hard to deal with, but it's not your fault. Because we wouldn't be where we are as people today. We would have already met our demise as black people had it not been for the strength or the hardening of black women. And I'll talk more about that in a second, because men are the cause of this, or men essentially could be the solution. Low marriage rates, this is quick, in the post, I posted a link, and it is to an Economist article. So the Economist magazine, they produced an article in 2010 that these professors, I think from the University of Chicago, did a study a statistical study that shows the direct relationship between incarceration and low marriage rates with amongst black women. And they essentially concluded for every percentage increase in black men being incarcerated, it equated to a 2.4% decrease in marriage rates. So they did this study, and they did surveys, and they did all these things that directly found a link, or it concluded that there was a direct link between incarceration and marriage rates, because one of the points focused on the 1970s. 1970s was the beginning of the explosion of the prison population, and specifically for black men. At this time, it was the exact time where we began to see a drastic decrease in marriage rates amongst black women. And of course, there are other factors, but these professors did a study that removed all this static data, and they concluded that for every 1% increase in incarceration rates, it wasn't even a one to one. So it wasn't 1% increase equals a 1% decrease in marriage. 1% increase in men in prison equates to an exponentially higher decrease in marriage rates. And there are what they call sex ratios, where it's the ratio between men and women. And women always talk about how there aren't enough men. There are so many more women than men. That's not true. Naturally, the ratio amongst all other races is 1 to 1. People don't even understand that. In America, the overall ratio is like for every 96 or 97 women, 96 or 97 men, there are 100 women. But what people are including in the data, which they shouldn't, are men over the age of 65. So of course, over the age of 65, especially in America, men, the diet of a man is terrible. So over 65, men start to die, at a drastically higher rate than women. So when you factor in the entire population, yes, there are a whole lot more 70 and 80-year-old, women than there are men. But that has nothing to do with marriage rates, because ain't nobody getting married at 65, 75, and 85. The age that we need to pay attention to is 15 to 64. And in America, the ratio from age 15 to 64 is 107 men to every 100 women. There are not more women than men. There are more black women than men. So a lot of that, if you freed all the men in prison, our ratio, guess what? It will be damn near 1 to 1. And the only other thing that's causing the gap is the murder rate. So you got violence, crime, which is resulting in murder, and you have prison. So if you think about nature, we're not even talking about society. When you're sick, you get symptoms. Nature's symptom is right now telling us we are sick because there are drastically more women than men. And it is because of incarceration. So I'm pointing this out because if there's anything that we need to unite on, it's on, combating this prison industrial complex, because it is resulting in the destruction of black family. The destruction. And that Economist article, if you click on it and read it, that shows you a statistical measurement that shows you the criminal justice system is destroying black family, and it cannot continue. And we cannot keep talking about it, because black women, if there's any reason to fight for something, we talking about these low marriage rates, that's what you need to be fighting for in this prison industrial complex, and that will strengthen black family. Now, what is the natural responsibility of a man? There are a lot of different things that we can debate. Who's supposed to be the provider? You know, who's supposed to pay all the bills? Who's supposed to cook and clean and do laundry? I'm not here to argue that. I am trying that, which is one of the reasons I use numbers, is because people cannot debate numbers. They can't really argue numbers. They are what they are. So I'm also trying to find things that are universal, essentially universal law. One of the responsibilities of man, which cannot be debated, the duty of man is to protect. It is to protect, defend, and avenge his woman and his family. What men are not taking responsibility of is their natural duty to protect. And you were created to protect. Women don't have the muscles you have. Women don't have the testosterone you have. Women don't process protein the way you do. They're not built to protect and defend. You are. Women, because of what they lack biologically, they are naturally attracted to those who they think can protect them and protect their offspring. Survival is a natural instinct. Women looking to survive and looking to ensure the survival of their offspring, they are attracted to men who can protect them. Black men, we are not protecting, defending, nor are we avenging our women. So the lack of these things requires her hardening in order for her to survive. So one of the solutions, if black men can't deal with black women, you want a softer woman, protect, defend, and avenge her, and you will soften her. We can't point a finger and act like, you know, black women need to do this and that. We control it. Protect her. Like a daughter, when I talk about daughters, a daughter naturally gravitates to her father, because a father, one of the reasons, a father has uncompromising protection of their daughter. So when you're like, think about the thing with Corinne Gaines in Baltimore, where black women were, you know, outraged at the lack of support that they were getting from black men. And black men were saying, like, I don't understand the objection when Corinne Gaines was tripping, or she had a gun, or she was combative with the police, and the police were doing what they were supposed to do. If you think about a daughter, if a daughter gets slapped in school or beat up in school, and that daughter comes home and tells her father that she's been disrespected by a boy, think about what type of father is going to respond, what did you do? Ain't no father about to say, what did you do? The only question that man is going to ask his daughter is, where is he? Where can I find him? That's the type of protection that women seek, all women. They want uncompromised protection and defense. And black men do not provide that. And when the thing with Corinne Gaines happened, we were getting attacked by women because we were not providing that uncompromised, unquestioned support and protection. We don't ask no questions when somebody's disrespecting our woman, other than, where is he? You handle him. And then you ask questions afterward. Why did you punch him in the face? Why did you spit on him? After you handle him. But we're not providing that, so women got to provide their own protection. And that comes in the form of attitude. That comes in the form of, you know, not trusting as easy. It comes in a lot of different ways. If we want to eliminate that, then we got to protect and defend. Are white women easy? I'm not going to say easy as the derogatory way, but yes, they are easy, because think about it. If black women are hard because of the lack of defense, think about the most protected woman on earth. Think about the most defended woman on earth. Think about the most avenged woman on earth. It's white women. You don't think that has anything to do with why they are easier? You know what I'm saying? Like, these things are connected. They don't have to develop these defense mechanisms that black women do, because, you know what I'm saying, we went through, you know, hundreds of years where black men couldn't even look at a white woman. You couldn't even whistle at a white woman, because these white folks was going to war. They was raiding whole villages. just because one dude supposedly whistled at a white girl. So these white women have grown up feeling like they are the most protected thing on this earth, and they don't need to be hard. War. So what am I saying when I say protect your woman? Malcolm said it best when he tried to, provide these solutions back in the day. Our problem is, black men, your problem is you afraid to bleed. And that's what Malcolm said. You afraid to bleed. And what am I saying? What do I mean when I mean, when I say that? When you look at, this police abuse and you look at other, outside attacks on black women, what am I saying? You saying we should be fighting with the police? Because that's suicide. What are you really saying? If I am in a situation where I am seeing a black woman disrespected by anybody, I don't care if it's a police officer or not. Am I saying you should, risk life and limb to defend the innocence of that woman? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, you cannot be afraid to bleed for your woman. You risk life and limb to protect her because that is what you were built to do. Protect. If you don't provide that protection, it results in a hardened woman. A hardened woman results in, a combative relationship. Combative relationships decrease the probability of successful, healthy, families. All this stuff starts and ends with you, black man. So we cannot be afraid to bleed. And I'm not talking about going on suicide missions, but I'm saying if you are witnessing a woman disrespected in your presence, yes, you risk that life to protect that woman because she deserves it. And it's what you were built for. Okay? So that's it for now. And there will be more to come. Social Scene. Go to the website, socialscene.com, SOULCIALSCENE.com. There's a link in there. I think it says Get Social. Give us your information. We need those emails because that gives us more leverage and that gives us a connection with you to let you know what we got going on. And like our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter pages as well. Tune in the next time.